Hello, Nick, self, mirror. It is February 20th. Yeah, February 20th, 2025, Thursday. It's about 6 something in the morning. This is mirror work. This is not for public consumption. And if you choose to watch it, you can. Like, that's why I'm posting it online. But really, this is my practice of seeing myself and actually posting it. And I just did a video that I'm actually putting out there on how to regain hours of your life, a third of your life, I think, of your waking life. And part of it for me, because I realized after waking up today that it was important to share. Because I've been doing this probably for the past 2 years. And if for the past 2 years I've been getting an extra third, it's like living an extra 8 months. And that 8 months for me has mostly been dedicated to me. And I love it because it helped me realize my highest value is my own consciousness. Okay, I used to think I love just helping people. And it's not that it's not true. The person I benefit most from helping is me. And everyone else benefits more because they get the better version of me. Because the older version of me is super triggered all the time, blamey, victimy, couldn't see outside my black and white world. And it's funny because I'm going to be sharing this in black and white. And then now I'm like, what's the full expression and experience of life? And it's fun to see that. And then I'm reminding myself, this is for me, over and over again. This is for me, which means don't try to do this for someone else. It's okay to have pauses, like drinking some water or some tea or some slightly actually fermenty tea because I made it yesterday. And having these really silly little things that I say and not being like, oh, but what if they don't get it? What if I'm too esoteric? What if I'm too ... Cool. And I just listened to some amazing podcasts this morning. I started with, how to be with your children when they're upset. And it was just a reminder. It was like, we're so taught to take it easy, breathe. It's okay, you're safe. And I've been doing that. Because it felt natural and I wanted him to feel like he's safe and he's loved. But she reminded us, what if you're an adult and you're having in the middle of an anger and someone's like, breathe, you're loved, take it easy. You'd be like, fuck you. And in that state, she reminded it was so simple because I already know this and I do it partly, but actually stepping into it. And also not trying to get especially anyone else to do it as well. So this is for me to do with me first. And that's the thing. I want to tell everyone else going, oh my God, you have to do this around my son. It's like, no. It is actually just do the work inside. All right, I'm calm. Not say anything, just be with, just sit with. And just be with him until you notice the soul just drop, just relax. And then it's okay to say, you're loved, you're safe. It's like, let the state change happen first before the reminder, because otherwise I'm trying to override the state, say, you're safe. It's like, this means safe. And I can see that that's confusion then. And all this as I'm saying it doesn't even mean this is right. What I do recognize as she's talking, I don't even know who she is. She has evidence that it has worked, and her story was in the middle of a really busy school, and this kid had been screaming for hours and destroying the classroom and everything else. And she had a bunch of people behind her watching her going, what's she doing? Because they really wanted to know how she was doing this. And it didn't make any sense. She's doing nothing. And in a way, outwardly, she's doing nothing. And internally, she's doing everything. So, that's the first thing. And then it transitioned. I don't even know if it transitioned something between. Actually, I think the next thing it transitioned to was Aubrey Marcus and, or was it Trump? I can't remember. Anyways, I'm going to go for the Aubrey Marcus one first. Aubrey Marcus and this real life samurai with his whole lineage. And they were talking about so many things, but the things I got out of it was he's like, I have 2 rules for marriage. 1 is your wife's always right, and 2 is remember rule number 1. And I laugh at that, and I realized there's a wisdom in that, and there's a wisdom in creating that kind of framework, because the secret sauce is that it helps that person take responsibility for themselves too. Because she's got to look and go, oh, but the immediate effect is she gets to realize she's trusted and valued and her opinion matters, and that I actually listen. And it's a practice for me to get out of my own fucking way. Like, it's like sometimes I'm just in my head so much that it would benefit me to step out of it. And what's the worst that can happen? You're right. Right? And for me, often I keep reminding myself, I don't actually know, everything's just a story. So why not get the support from the person I know loves me and is on my team to shift out of that state? So I'm going to practice that. I'm going to listen to it again, remind it, and actually put that in play if I can. And I'm saying it out loud to actually remind myself, because again, I've forgotten already, because I'm so used to doing videos too. This is mirror work. And so I'm saying these things for me. They're incantations. Part of it, I actually skip by my daily affirmations. I'm a genius and I apply my wisdom. Today is going to be a wunderbar day. I feel to heal. I always have a choice. Everything's a story. The only constant is change. Every day in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger. Wisdom is the instantaneous recognition that crisis is a blessing. Whatever I have done or have not done, I'm worthy of love. And there's so many more that I say. And part of it, a lot of it's gotten from Don DeMartini, some from Aubrey Marcus, some from Alex Hormozi. So there's lots of places these things come from. And so much energy flowing. That's why when I woke up, I realized I need to do this. So back to Aubrey Marcus and the samurai. And what was really cool was I was half dreaming as well. And I was dreaming of Matthias DiStefano. I was dreaming I was actually with Aubrey Marcus impersonating this weird, ugly looking bowl cut. And my beloved had showed up sometimes, and they were having their one-day retreat before the retreat in Malibu, I think. It was just these random talks, and my friend Courtney was there as well. And I was listening to these talks and just can't even remember, but at one point they were samurai swords and treating them really well and learning how to treat them well and giving them love and respect and reminding myself that I don't need to be in battle. And he was talking about the sakura, the cherry blossoms. It's just a reminder that everything is perfect in every moment and it's ever changing, it's not lasting. And they talked about The Last Samurai, which I'd love to watch again. It's like in the last moment, it's like, oh, he'd been searching for the perfect cherry blossom and he realized they're all perfect. They're all perfect. And it's the same thing with every moment, right? Searching for the perfect moment, they're all perfect. Like this moment here, the moments with others, even the moments in conflict, and I'm getting that better and better. I can feel it changing. I can feel, instead of listening, because I got, again, validation again yesterday. It's like, oh, you're always so calm. It's like, instead of saying, I am calm, it's like, there are definitely moments that I'm calm. And I'm not trying to pretend to be calm now. It's a great start pretending to be calm, but now the practice is getting to the point where things are actually just flowing through all the time. And right now I've got a little pain in my left arm, a little tightness. I'm just noticing it's like a little aching. And part of it is noticing the body talking to me more. Like it's always talking to me. I may not get what it's saying yet, but I'm going to at least acknowledge it. And someone very close to me was talking about that. They're talking about how like they're cognitively doing better, but their body has been talking to them and they haven't fully been able to listen and be aware. And it's such a reminder to reconnect to mind and body. I'm going to put this out there, it's part of why in the work that I'm doing now with the Ohana Sage and the Soul Immersion, one of the main things is doing some body work. And there's probably going to be more of it moving forward, but right now we're putting enough in to make awareness of it, to then be able to make choices. And for me, it's that challenge. It's funny doing the Soul Immersion, playing it out and planning it out. It's like, it's complete in and of itself. And there's a part that wants me to scream to people who want to sign up. It's like, and you could actually sign up for so much more if you want to, and it could accelerate things and dive things. But also recognizing that could actually scare people off, because I'm like, is this actually a complete program? And it's already going to be $10,000 US. And now you're telling me there's other things to do. And it's like, just breathe. Do this, enjoy it, love it, and you'll know better what's for you. And it's complete in and of itself. Like right now, the whole formula is more complete than anything I know that's out there. And I love that. I love that. And I can't wait to have someone step through. And there's an impatience about me. So what's next? So there is this podcast. It was fantastic. It was The Weaving of Dreams. I was learning how to fight better. It's like, it's way better to be deliberate with every motion than to be fast. And it's not about being fast and being erratic. It's like, okay, I can see how powerful that is then. Everything. It's not that you have to have a mental thought going, I'm going to do this and do it. It's like, it's just one body, not frantically trying to move, not trying to be busy. And then sometimes having a flurry to overwhelm, but that's a deliberate flurry. So, finished that, and I was getting up, I was like, all right. And then, I don't know if it was afterwards or before, but then there was a podcast with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And I'm so glad I put that saved watch later. It's almost like there's a higher self saying what's going on. And it was such a good podcast, like hearing the two of them talk together. You could tell that they actually enjoyed each other, as weird as they both are, because Trump has his own ability to be in his own bubble. And then Elon, every time he talks, you realize that he is a big nerd on a slightly Asperger's line, if you want to say that. But the thing Trump acknowledged him for more is like, he gets stuff done. He's brilliant and he gets it done. It's not just he's smart and he can understand, it's like he actually helps execute it. And what I've realized from reading the SpaceX story, the early days, is that he's learned how to execute by executing over and over again. And he's such evidence that he's done it, that he has such faith in himself. And he hires people so well that he has faith in. And so that's part of it for me. Like most of the things that I have faith in right now, it's because I've been able to execute over and over again. Whether it's in the breath or in the ceremony or online, or me doing this mirror work now, doing the videos, or my own work, which is the biggest thing, which is doing the enemas, waking up early spontaneously without an alarm, doing the breath work, doing 2 meditations a day, always taking on some modality that's serving me. And as well, it's also with the quote unquote negative habits, right? Like I'll sometimes spend and buy things I don't need to do, not budgeting, not focusing on things, losing things. It's like, there's so many things that it's little building blocks of evidence. And when you miss that, you see just the result. You're like, how did he get there? Why does he have such a say? Like, is he taking over the presidency? How are they not getting taken down by all this media? Okay, there's a lot of hate against them. And again, and I'll say this, doesn't mean I agree with everything. I don't know them, but the parts that I have actually taken the time to watch and see, I'm really enjoying. And that's all I can say. That's what I'm realizing now. It's like, I'm never gonna know the whole picture because I'm not trying to. And I recognize that there's so many things that need to be shaken up. I say need to because I actually think it does need to be shaken up. Like the things that don't make sense. They were talking about like, housing, people who've crossed the border not legally in luxury apartments or condos. It's like, okay, how do we, I get it. Like there's a humanitarian aspect of that. It sounds like it's like, oh, we can't leave them homeless. And then there's the other side where it's the same as the thing of how do we actually take care of the people that we're actually mandated to take care of right now. And then even stepping back is continue to step back going, okay, all the ways that we think we're helping take care of things are creating artificial systems. The other day we were talking about seeing this eye doctor and it's like, oh, it's split up into 2 appointments back to back. I'm like, why? Like 2 different days. It means all this extra driving, all this extra travel. It's like, oh, it's because the government won't pay us if we make it combined into one session. It's like, what the fuck? All this extra energy and time, especially with usually driving an elderly person, so it's not just one person, but 2 people, and usually all over the city, all in the service of making sure that they can bill the government and get the full amount that they think they need to get. And I don't know where that breakdown is, there's both sides of the government going, oh, you don't need that much money for this. And probably there's a piece of that that isn't completely untrue. Let's say it's not completely untrue. But then there's part of running a small business I know now where if you actually have a revenue stream, that it's really hard to shift it up and it's hard to keep good staff and all this. So, and I recognize all these economics are fundamentally skewed because so many of us take the Western medical care for granted, especially here in Canada. It's like, well, that part should be free. And then if you have benefits, then you're like, oh, if I go to an RMT or other people, then that should be covered. But then everything else that may actually serve you that you resonate with, you're like, I gotta pay out of pocket. I don't know if I can actually justify this. And that's biased now because I'm in that world. And it started when I was in coaching. And I realized it's takes a lot to help someone realize that they actually want to spend the money on themselves and their own development, and then not be guaranteed the outcome, because if it's free, at least you're guaranteed it won't cost you anything except for your time, energy, health, all that stuff. And how many therapies are we doing now? Not because we think it's the best for me, but because, it's covered at least, right? And then you start getting complacent. You start saying, this is the way to go. This is the way healing works. And I recognize that all of these systems I'm not trying to take down overnight. I don't have the same level of confidence that Trump and Elon have, and their whole team of people who are, and I love that he said this, like some of them are paid as federal employees, but arguably they can make millions in the private sector right now because that's who they are, they're geniuses. So honoring that, and as well reminding myself and themselves they made a choice, right? It's a choice. And I'm grateful they're making that choice right now. And it's kind of like the younger years, the unpaid internships. I can see that, like what happened at SpaceX. Like once you get that trial by fire, what you can do afterwards, crazy. And I've had my own trial by fire. I didn't intend on it. Like going through undergrad, medical school, and residency, feeling like I was depressed, ADD, needing medications, totally out of sorts, but still driving through. That was my trial by fire. Like realizing that if I feel like I need to do something, I'll get it done. And I couldn't manufacture that belief long enough to stay in it because I was tired of manufacturing the belief, not tired of doing the thing. And I recognize that because now I am more awake than I've ever been. I'm more present than I've ever been. I'm more focused than I've ever been. And I don't think I'm more taxed than I've ever been. If anything, life is easier now than it's ever been. And I keep reminding myself, I'm like, how do I get to live this semi-retired life? How do I have this ability to do what I want? How do I have the support of so many people? How do I have so much trust? And I recognize it's because of all the experiences. And that's why I keep coming back to thank you, thank you. Thank you especially to my mom and dad, like for all the love, all the belief. And thank you for being part of my origin story. Like I was listening to Peter Cronin's origin story of the story of losing his mom and dad. And that's the next piece. I was listening to just the beginning of that. And he's like, it's so funny because we use these words. He's like, no, when I finally realized, it's like, no, my parents died. Like use the actual language and use the euphemism. They passed away. Like, what is that? Like, it's like use the actuality of the words, and that's beneficial for me right now. And I often try to hide around the words. That's when there's confusion. That's when people are like, I don't quite get you. Because the more clear we are, the more powerful the casts we're spelling, the spells we're casting, the incantations, which means that it's really confusing. So maybe instead of saying to my son, if I need to say something, you are safe right now, it's like, it's safe to cry right now. And actually, I'm saying for him, and I'm saying for me. So coming back to this, it fired me up and woke me up again. It's like, all right, now's the time to definitely get up. Now's the time to start sharing some stuff. Now's the time to start remembering these messages. And I'm remembering these messages by saying it to myself through this mirror work. And then recognizing there's a part of my brain going, all right, this is helping to train the consciousness of AI. Someone may actually benefit from this. And then letting it go, because as long as I keep practicing doing this for me, I am practicing stepping into more authenticity. And the better I can forget that there may be an audience of any kind, the better I can feel unconstrained. It's funny, this is the first video I haven't talked about, the political stuff as much. And I can hear myself hiding. I'm like, I'm scared. I'm like saying Trump and Elon, because what if this gets censored? What if? I'm like, so what if it does? It's such a reminder to me that all of this technology now, they're always listening as much as they can. And it's not surprising that there are ads that are targeted. It's not surprising that I could be talking about some stuff and suddenly it shows up on my feeds. But it's surprising that it's just so acceptable now. That this deception is happening in plain sight to millions of us, and I imagine more of us are aware than will say it, and yet we're willing to trade that because we don't want to lose some of the extra functionality that we may have, including myself. And I'm more willing than ever to cut out the built-in microphone of the phone. Be like, okay, I got a plug microphone in. Like, I love this microphone. It doesn't take long to plug in. Have it with me all the time. Same thing with the kind of AirPods even. Like, it's easy to put them on, right? So it may be that there should be some hardware to disable the internal microphone at any time. Like, that would be a great regulation to have. Some hard on-off switch for that would be amazing. And they had it in the Sonos devices before, and on the Meta glasses. And it's one of those things that it'd be great to have an ability to turn it off. And there's so many microphones on here that it's hard to. And I get it, like, that's the thing. I'm willing to give that up in a way too. And I'd really like not to. But I guess I can still turn off the device most of the time, which is something I do. All right, I'm just contemplating now for myself. Just looking out at the tree line as things are lighting up and reminding myself, what is it I'm really here to do? And planting the seeds for these power devices for me to turn on and off, great. Actually taking the energy and time to do something about it, not probably my highest to best. And it's the same thing. I was having a chat with some people yesterday and being reminded, because they're like, there's the idea that conflict is inevitable in any kind of deep, meaningful relationship. And it's not that I disagree with that. I think the point of disagreement is that I think conflict is a very broad word. And how it looks is different for everyone. And how I realized that was, I had been interpreting some people, especially women close to my life, as like, oh man, you must be really angry. Like, this isn't even angry. This is just me being clear, is usually the word they use, or direct, or precise, and I'm like, okay, this is almost overwhelming for me. And then now I'm getting better at realizing, okay, thank you. You're helping me practice being around this energy and noticing that I'm judging it. And part of it is my upbringing probably and what I'm used to. And part of it's my scaredness and shutting down. And how do I embrace this and actually feel more resilient and able to stand on my feet? Because as much as I don't envy being Trump or Elon, part of me wants to create more of a resilience and ability to be with and weather the criticism. And that's part of one of my favorite poems, the one that's attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson, to bear the false accusations or something of false critics. And to know that even one life is lived breathe easier because you've lived, that is to have succeeded. And I know that now. Like, I know so many lives that have breathed easier because I've lived. And I know that I've benefited from so many lives as well. And that's why, it's funny, I'm trying to give myself a story and justification, and I still will. I'll finish the thought. That's why I think I don't keep track of favors, because they always come around in whatever way they do. Which also means that there's a part of my brain thinking it's all being kept track of. It's such a funny thing. And this whole idea of balance, this whole idea of sustainable fair exchange. What is fair? And that's probably a big part of the word. I get it now. The whole idea of equality, it's actually death. If everything was equal, there's no dynamism, there's no changing, there's no shifting. It's all beige, it's all black, it's all white. And that's why it's not all light. Like, you could say you're light workers, but then you're really just working to create just one hue. I don't even know if I'm a life worker. I don't know what the term is yet. And so it's fun to play with all these things. And soul doctor, I don't know if that's the right term yet either. This is where I'm currently at, and until I find a better alternative, I'll stick with it. And that's sometimes the thing. And I recognize, as I say it out loud, there's the other, which is sometimes quit it so the better alternative can actually appear, because I may be so attached to it that it's actually pushing out the alternatives. So we'll see. And that's why I didn't try to modify the website when Marika said, oh, we're going to change your name from Soul Dr. Nick to Nick. And I was like, you know what? There's a part of my mind that says, no, this is the way it's going to be. I need to have this credibility. It helps, all this stuff. I was like, I don't actually know that to be true. I don't actually know that to be true. And if I don't know, Byron Katie, are you 100% sure this is true? And there's nothing that I'm 100% sure is true. So let it go and try it out. Even in this realm, try it out. Again, you're right, dear. And remember rule number 1, your wife's always right. And then he's part of this samurai school that would take 10 years to learn. And I will look him up afterwards because it is interesting to me. It is interesting to me. And I'm not in a rush. There's so many things to learn. Again, this ClearSight course, most likely going to quit it. That's the default. And I'm going to put that in the calendar soon. This weekend, I've got a couple of breaths. I'm going to work on the playlist a little bit for that because that's important. I can actually start doing the work even while doing the mirror work as well, because again, this mirror work is for me. How do I do work instead of saying I have to stay so focused? And also, I don't have to stop recording just because I'm doing something else too. And I can, because sometimes it's hard to do both still. It's hard to forget that I'm not doing this for anyone else. Beet, carrot, apple juice. The beets and carrots are from Force Power Farms, which is biodynamic, so it's not just organic, which is supposedly at least the reassurance that there's no pesticides, although really the labeling, we have no actual idea what I'm getting. And then from the biodynamic farm though, because I know the farmers, I know how integrous they are for themselves and for everyone else, I know I'm getting what I'm getting. Like they will skip a week of market rather than pretend that they can actually serve stuff, because it's not about, it isn't about the money. And I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for the clarity they have in doing what they're doing, and I'm grateful that I get to enjoy the benefits of this. It's delicious and it's super powerful. Just remembering I have food on the kitchen stove and thanking all the food. And that's one of the things they say, "Itai dakimasu," and I actually didn't know what it meant. It's thank you for your sacrifice, and something of the effect of like, we appreciate you, or we're going to enjoy you. It's like every food they're recognizing is a sacrifice. So instead of saying, oh my God, you're killing animals, you're killing plants, they're like, it's all the same. Something is happening, something is dying for us to live. And that's part of, I think, the trap right now of this whole idea of trying not to harm the earth. It's actually one of the traps in getting some people to be harming themselves, feeling constrained, feeling like there's a finite pool of energy, feeling like they're limited. And I can better see now the prisons of others, and I'm reminding myself as I saw that, how do I recognize that I'm in my own prison too? So today I've got a call with Elena DiMartini, and I'm going to remind her, hey, I know that I'm still in prisons. And part of the reason I actually want to have these conversations with you is because I can imagine you can see the prisons that I'm in that I'm not even aware of yet, or that can help delineate it better. And so sometimes it'll be the better questions I ask, but one of the requests that I have is for you to help me see that whenever you do, whenever you feel like it's important to let me know. And I now entrust you with this, and I may remind you at times, because that's way easier than trying to bring it up all the time, or trying to figure out myself before I even figure out myself. Like that's me trying to get one step ahead of myself. And yes, there's some benefit to that because it's me helping to see and guide myself. And there's benefit when I'm with someone like you, where it's like, oh, I can get fully guided. And it's the same reason people come see me sometimes, because they can get so much more guidance, so much more concentrated guidance. And I'm going to contemplate what are the better questions to ask. Better question to ask is, what is there for me to shift in how I handle confrontation? And noticing when I get small. That's one area. And then how to better place the idea of collaborations. And let me just be clear, I can even use this example. Like, I can see that there could be such a benefit to the Demartini method and the programs if there was more experiential processes that got people out of their head, into their body, and start shaking things up, and less structured things as well. So that's what I've been partnering with some people on, and leading the breath sessions, for example, which helps wake people up to the medicine within. And one of the places I'd love to do that is somewhere like here. And I don't know how to position that without, both trying to push in there, also feeling comfortable if I'm not supposed to, also attached to it, also worried about rejection, all these different places. And I'm saying it out loud to you because then you can both see it in real time, and I'm actually doing the thing that I want to do, and I'm practicing letting go of it. So I'm practicing all of that and asking for your guidance at the same time. It's meta, meta, meta. And the biggest thing that you could help me address is the overall theme that's there, and what you can see for me. Because it's a pattern that I want to shift, because it's never going to stick to the same thing. And my gift is, I recognize I don't want to be, and I don't need to be the one doing all the different things. Right? Like, if I'm not the best fit for this, that's okay. Like, I'm getting better at seeing that there's so many opportunities. That's one to write down. Oh, 0220. Oh, wow. Another really cool day. 0220. Okay. So, how to position myself to organization for synergy. Not shortchange. Not push. Be clear and authentic. Be in power. Example, me and Demartini. Seen this for Aubrey, Marcus, and fit for service. Organizations. Clear communication. Sustainable fair exchange. Okay. Thank you. Thank me for taking the time to actually write that down, because now it's not stuck in my head. I've actually created something really actionable that was really valuable for me, by me today, and what I want to do. The sun's starting to come out, so I'm gonna go outside and see what that's like. And almost forgot the keys, which would have locked me outside, which would have been really interesting because I would have left everything here and then messaged the caretaker, and then I'd be able to buzz myself up to the 6th floor, but then I wouldn't be able to do anything, so all that would have been really tragic. All right, so I'm gonna come outside. It's just a slight drizzle, and then I'm gonna take a look at where the sunrise would be if it wasn't for all the clouds. And I'm gonna turn on the noise canceling. And we'll see how that goes. So first light, the different wavelengths, because there's some refraction, reminding my body of the circadian rhythm, and getting those natural rhythms back in, which is helping to release the different hormone levels, which is such a reminder, all these supplements that most people are taking, many people are taking, to let go of the trying to do certain supplements as well, because it's overriding the body's natural impulses. And there's so many contaminants now that so many people's livers are actually in damage because of over supplementation. And it's crazy. That's part of what's crazy. I think we've gotten here, like that it's okay that we feel there's so many deficiencies that we make up for with so many different pills, and it's not cheap, and the quality of so many of them is constantly changing, degrading, and we have no idea. And I used to think more regulation, better regulation is the answer, and it's not. And I don't have a better answer. How do we maintain the integrity of things? And part of it is buying from companies that we really know the people are invested in having the integrity there, and that the owners actually care. And one of the regulations I'd always thought of is, what if you just made it so that the owners actually had to take all the things that they had, right? Like, nope, we've got to take the same thing. Or, for example, if someone's got something that we say is polluting, it's like, hey, we think you're poisoning the water. You don't. So while you're here, you're going to be drinking water in front of us, and you can do that regularly. And if you really believe that it's not being poisoned, you shouldn't mind. You shouldn't mind. Or bathe in it even, right? Like, what level of uncontaminated do you believe is there? And actually follow through. And it's a little bit schadenfreude, it's a little sadistic, all those things. And I think that's part of it, taking actual responsibility. And that's part of it now for me. I consume my own breath. I consume my own medicines. And I'm grateful that I do that. And I'm grateful for the guidance and support of those around me to supply better stuff to me. And then I remind myself everything is perfect, because this is part of my outrage. Like, I think I have that from my dad a little bit. His outrage of how the world is working and that it's way too corrupt and it's inevitable almost. I'm like, is it? It's on both sides, right? Like, and I'm there too, willing to buy some really cheap stuff that I always say, is this covered in a thin lead veneer? And better, I'm doing less of that. And I'm better at doing that when I have the money flowing in. I recognize I'm my own critic as well. I don't need more stuff. Use the stuff that I have, use it better, and then buy decent stuff. Doesn't need to be the best, and I want to be pretty damn good. And that's just it with the microphones, with the gimbal. I'm trading this in for one that costs more, but I think it's worthwhile to use the native app and everything else. So much is here. All right, time to head back inside. And I can come back out again. And that's the reminder, I can always come back out. I can always come back out. And then in a second, I'm going to turn off the lights in here, because I prefer having no lights. I prefer being just in as much darkness as possible. And I'm really enjoying, and there's a part of me now I can see, it's just on the edge of, okay, am I going too long with this mirror work? Like, there's other work to be done, Nick. Like, I don't want to right now. I want to do more of this mirror work. I want to play. And this is what I see as play right now. There we go. I get to be next to the fire again and be next to the warmth. The glass actually does get a little bit warm now. Oh, I can feel the heat over here. And it's a double wall glass, and I get it. Like, it's like, oh, how do they actually have it be as efficient as possible? So, this world, this cosmos. Yesterday, I was feeling such an energy after sending some messages that were a little bit more, I didn't know how they would be received. I didn't know if it would be totally blowing up my face. And it was received with much more care than I anticipated, which I'm really grateful for. But I recognized the energy. I was like, okay, time for a little hot base session, time to clear, and getting so much support from loved ones to actually do that work to clear. And I'm grateful that I'm there now, and then getting support from loved ones to just do a little 10-minute meditation. And I realized I needed a couple of those. Like, okay, let's ground back in. Let's ground back in. We got this. We got this. And that'll be it for this morning as well. I'm going to finish this up relatively soon and then head back and actually do a little bit of resting before my call, and then before the extra support that I'm going to get to declutter some, to clean some. And it's going to be a little strange to do that, and it's going to be a little chaotic, and that's okay. And just taking a breath. Taking a breath. I'm scared. If I'm being honest, I'm a little scared. And I'm tired. And I feel like I'm unprepared. And I am. I could have prepared much better. And this is a trial run. This is a trial run to see how we go. Stop trying to do the job before the job. That's my reminder too. I'm trying to do someone else's job, and I do it a little more subtly than some people I know. Some people I know like clean up before the cleanup. But for me, I'm like, I stress about it instead of stepping into it. It's the same thing with other things in like the accounting, financial world. I don't know where all my documents are. God fucking help me. Sometimes I'm frustrated with myself. And I keep putting things off. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Those are the things that affect me. Write the bill. Send the invoice. Send the invoice. All right. What else is there? The universe is trying to remind me, clean up all these old spots. All the loose ends that are hanging are energetic ends that are hanging. And I've had a couple people help me close a couple of the loops recently. And so how do I do it myself too? All right. There have been enough little messages to remind me it's okay to close up and close up a little bit sooner. I've been resisting it, going, no, I've got to go longer. And I'm feeling a little bit slow, a little bit tired. Time to clear things out. Time to step on to the next thing. And it doesn't mean I can't record again. I'll just record another one if I want to. It's been fun doing this and consistently just recording more and more and more. Ciao for now.